Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hey, everybody.
I'm Kelly. Normally, this is the time where I vamp a little bit, tell you all about my week or something. But Vanessa, I heard something strange happen to you.
You know how you had that like crazy story, like walking down the street at night and there was a mystery person?
Yes.
Imagine it's like that, but instead of a mystery person, it's a bat.
Tell me more. Tell us all more.
So I edit a lot. I work really hard and I don't take a lot of vacations. And I decided, you know what? Got invited to go out to Whidbey Island, stay in a little cabin this weekend. I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. That sounds amazing. I'm not even going to worry about working. Get there, settle in. I start a fire. It's super nice, super calm. Hang out, go to bed, wake up at like 5 a.m., maybe just about 5 a.m. And there's like something there. And I don't know. I've woken up before and like had kind of mini nightmares where I think I'm awake, but I'm not. And last time there was like a bunch of spiders like across the room. And so,
oh my God.
Yeah, I know. So, and I had like stood up and started like yelling for that one. So I was like, no, it's a dream. I'm just going to lay here and it'll go away. And I'm just staring at this cabin ceiling, watching this thing that looks like an oversized moth just swing left and right. And then it starts like dive bombing the bed. And I was like, what is happening? And I just I'm like, no, it's real. So I jump up and I'm like, oh my God, it's a fucking bat. There's a bat in here. And like, the bat did not get in here. The bat has been in here for the last 3 hours I've been sleeping.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Watching you.
I know. And it's quiet. It's dead quiet, right? So it's just going back and forth. So turn on the lights. I put on like this giant oversized sweater thing and I get a broom and I'm trying to like find it to get it out. Cause you know, that's what you're taught, right?
Sure.
Find broom, get bat out, swat at it. And there are so many like little holes and nooks and crannies. This is like a rustic cabin. So there's like just knots and grains and wood is not like quite lined up right. It's impossible to find this damn thing. And so like at one point I laid back down on the bed and I was just really, really still. And I was like, maybe I imagined it all. I'm just going to lay here.
With my broom.
Just staring at the ceiling because I'm extremely tired. I went to bed at like 2, just extremely tired, staring at the ceiling. And then I hear from the corner, just, eek.
I am vengeance. I am the night.
It's so tiny. And I think it was behind the blinds or over by the blinds, which is weird because I just had that door open. And I was like, you. And then it gets up and it starts flying crazily again. And I was like, ah. So I tried a second time to do something with this thing. Could not handle it. So me and the people I was there with, like, call the vacation rental people. It was like an Airbnb situation.
Oh,
and they are like, okay, we're going to send out a bat person to Whidbey Island at 5 a.m. And we're like, sure you are. At 6 a.m., call back. Is the bat people coming? No, bat people are not coming. We're going to find you a new place. Get your stuff in your car and leave while we call like the exterminator / health department / whatever. So, okay, pack up, get a free breakfast from them, which was very nice. Start heading to the new accommodation, get settled in. And I take a shower and I have not slept. I'm feeling disgusting and horrible. And I look at my shoulder when I get out and it just looks kind of like there's a bruise there. And I think, okay, I don't know if this is a bruise or if it's just the lighting, but what happens if a bat bites you? Just out of curiosity. What occurs?
Well,
things happen.
according to every movie I've seen, you suddenly gain bat powers.
That's what I was hoping for. And I thought like maybe I'd need to like wash a wound or something. And like I did kind of think, I've heard of this like rabies thing, but I mean, there's probably something else that might happen, right? There's probably like some animal bite thing that's just an infection you should be aware of. And I started to go down that rabbit hole. And let me tell you, the CDC is very good at terrifying the pants off you.
Yeah.
So the CDC basically says, if you wake up and there is a bat in your room, you do not know if it bit you or not.
Mhm.
It is impossible to know. The bite is so small, you will not be able to find it.
Oh, jeez.
Even if you see that it bites you, you might not know, and you might not feel it too. And I thought, I woke up at 5 a.m. to a silent thing in the middle of the night. Why did I wake up?
Mhm.
What was it? So called the nurse line. Nurse said, get the hell in your car right now. Go to the emergency room. And I said, okay, where's the emergency room? I'm on Whidbey Island. She goes, there's one in Port Townsend. I was like, that's a ferry. Try again. So go to the emergency room, walk in. Chick is like, hey, COVID test time. Where are you headed? I was like, I might have rabies. She said, go over there, and did not test me. Like, did not check my temperature. I was like, I think you're still supposed to do that, lady, but all right. Walk over. They like sit me in a chair. Oh my God. And they give you a spiel and they're like, look, the chances that you have rabies are pretty slim, but the CDC says it's better that you just go ahead and get this treatment.
Yeah.
However, if you do not have insurance, this treatment is expensive. How expensive? $20,000.
Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. And I said, well, I have X healthcare. And they said, oh, you're fine. So
Ooh.
yes, that's great. And I was like, okay, cool. Waiting for my little shot. They bring out a needle. They put it in my arm. It don't even feel it. Beautiful. Great. They disappear and they said, we'll be back. Cool. Lady comes back, handful of needles. Handful. So depending on your weight, depends on how much this additional treatment you get. You have to have 4 of these rabies shots across a period of time. So I got that one. And then you have this additional medication they pump into you depending on your weight. So I had 3 in one leg and 2 in the other.
Jeez.
So let me tell you, this vacation's been great. My friend, who also had to go through all of this, had 11
Oh, wow.
11 shots. They had to wake up a pharmacist and call them in to get additional medication to stick it in them. So, needless to say, I'm a little bit tired.
Yeah.
I just got back to Seattle about 2 hours ago. Drove up here. Very excited to be back. The rest of the vacation was very nice.
good.
Today was okay. Yesterday was good. Deception Pass is very pretty. And
True.
that's about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And with the new like needles these days, it's really almost painless.
Yeah, but still.
it was a lot. I don't even want. Let's just say one of them didn't go good. So I have a very tender big bruise.
Ouch. Do you have any more to go? Any more?
I have 3 more.
wow.
Tomorrow I have to do one. Not the big ones or not the massive quantities, just the arm ones. So I have 3 more tomorrow and then Friday and then the Friday after.
Jeez.
But that's only if I can find them because apparently most hospitals and pharmacies don't carry it.
Wow.
So you have to call until you find one that does.
Well, that's kind of crazy. What
Yeah.
would be the harm in carrying it?
I
And
don't
shouldn't we
know.
just have emergency stuff like that on
Right.
hand?
Especially like in Seattle. It's a big enough place that there's like rats and what if a dog bites you? Like it's not like completely like devoid of rabies.
Right.
Well, yeah, plus we're a heavily wooded area. We have a lot of, not like Texas level, but we have a lot of bats. We have a fair
Absolutely.
amount of bats.
Yeah, no, it's crazy to me.
Jeez.
So I'm just frustrated. The healthcare system is both good and really, really bad sometimes. So
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, the good news is, as my nurse told me while she was sticking needles in my leg, if I want to like go into like the Peruvian bat caves next summer,
Hey.
I can just go wild. I have no worries. I can go and do any kind of cave splunking I want.
You go down to Texas, I think. I don't
Yeah,
know
where that bridge is.
Yeah, where they watch.
Oh, well, the bats come out?
Yeah.
I could just hang out right there.
High five
So-
me, bats.
Yeah,
Woo!
How-
here, bat, land upon my finger.
How long does this last? How long does your immunity to bats last?
I think it's a while. However, they said if you do get another bite, that usually you want to get to like follow-up rabies shots. But I think within a certain amount of time. So I'm probably good for a few years at least. Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
So I am the bat. It's just great because I feel like if anything of this kind of stuff is going to happen to somebody, it's going to happen to me. Like I got one of the few tick bites in Washington State with Lyme disease
Oh,
a few
jeez.
years ago while I was wearing skinny jeans. So I'm just like, whatever. It happens.
Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I watched a movie.
Oh, do tell.
Did it have a bat?
It did have bats in it.
Holy shit.
It had everything in it. I
Ooh.
thought it was really quite good. It was called The Empty Man.
Huh.
And
I know
it
that.
was directed by, now his name is right out of my head, David Pryor. Remember
Oh.
David Pryor?
I recognize the name, but I don't know why.
He wrote and directed a little short film called AM 1200,
Oh, okay. Hell, that's awesome.
Huh.
which is one of our very favorite Lovecraftian short films.
Ooh.
Really quite good. And then this film is based on a comic book that I believe Image Comics put out by Cullen Bunn. Are you guys familiar with that writer?
No.
I can't remember if he's local or not, but he was at Crypticon once.
Oh, okay.
I liked the movie so much that I grabbed the comic book and quite honestly hated the comic book. I thought the movie
All
was
right.
so much better that I was like, wow. And it's really nothing like the comic book. Very little of the
Weird.
comic is in the movie.
Did the comic book writer have anything to do with the film, or was it just
No.
Buy
David
the
Pryor
rights.
was the guy who adapted it, and he clearly saw something in it that he liked, and then kind of told his own story with it. But
Right.
it's really really cool, and the comic is kind of about a form of insanity that is starting to kind of sweep the nation,
Ooh.
and these people all claim to be or claim to see the empty man, which is kind of a slender man kind of
Yeah.
idea, but really it's not anything like that. And I had passed on this film a bunch of times because it's got an awful poster.
Yeah,
and
I've
it
seen
says
that.
the empty man, and it made me think it was something like the Slender Man.
Is it
and
just
I was
like black and white
yeah.
with just I saw that.
I definitely saw the trailer and thought, this is going to be terrible.
Well, it's a let's say it's what's the phrase we use, Eric?
Oh, tireless.
No.
Deliberately paced.
It is deliberately paced.
I can do deliberately paced.
I just thought that it had a really neat payoff. Some mild Lovecraftian themes, but some other stuff that was almost Philip K. Dickian.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
I really, really enjoyed it. It is a rental right now on Prime.
Cool.
Oh, wow. Huh. That sounds really, really neat. Well, I mean, I had a bat, so I feel like I'm good.
Yeah, that's fair.
What about you, Eric? Did you
Well,
see
I saw this little film that I almost hesitate to bring up, but I will anyways. Synchronic.
Oh, no. I don't know if I can do this right now, Eric. I don't know. I don't think I can take this. Two against one.
I
can
happened to
just see.
finish it also, Eric.
Oh,
you
did
and I
you?
can
Oh my
discuss. I mean, we know from last week's episode that
Was
one
not
of us did not like
Vanessa's
it.
favorite
Oh my
film of the year.
God. I don't want to. I don't know that I can look at you guys in the eyes after this. All right, Eric, tell me how much you love this film.
I really liked it. I don't think I think Spring and Endless were, I think those are still a little stronger just because I like when they're a little more esoteric and they're really out there with those. But I still thought it was pretty good. And I know we talked a little bit about it in texting and stuff. And you mentioned a couple things. And one of the scenes that bugged you, I'm like, I don't even remember that scene. It took me like a few minutes to sit and thinking.
Sure.
It left no impression on me. My main impression of what I enjoyed the film was once he figured out what the pills do. And from that point on, I really liked it. Up to that was fine. I thought it was good. But that's the part that really stuck with me. And I really, really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Kelly?
I liked it a lot, and I actually disagree with you, Eric, in that I thought it was by far their most accomplished film.
Cool.
Story-wise, I thought that this actually followed a structure that was more cinematic than Spring or Endless. And I really enjoyed the camera work.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Look, all I'm going to say is I can't possibly disagree with you more than I am feeling right now, but I'm so happy you enjoyed it and you got something out of it. I really like the opening scene a lot. I thought that was extremely powerful.
Oh,
and
yeah. That was great.
So cool, so beautiful, and so weird. And it pulled you right in. And there are ideas and themes behind it that are really spectacular and super unique. I hated the camera work. I hated the shot sizes. I hated the dialogue. I hated the setup of every single character. I was like, whose birthday am I at? God, who knows? Oh, it's the second main guy's best friend, and I guess that's his wife. Oh, and he has an older daughter. Is that the daughter? Are you?
I think she's okay going off on it now.
Well, tell me this, Eric. Were you confused with any of those, though?
No.
No, neither was I.
That's so weird.
I caught all of that
I
stuff.
was so
Now, as a
confused.
writer, I was thinking to myself, I would have jettisoned those characters and made it a much tighter story by making it perhaps an ex-girlfriend of his or his daughter, his own daughter, or something like that. Something like that would have made a little more sense to me, because this was just extra baggage on a script that didn't need it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it could have been, I like where your head's at. I think it could have been tighter if they'd gone a couple different directions, and maybe instead of spending so much time working through story beats that were kind of over there and over here, if they'd focused a lot more. I mean, I love the main guy's incentive for having, some kind of problem in physically that makes it so he doesn't mind jumping through and trying to go on this adventure and trying to be redeeming of his own character. But like his actual character, I didn't have too much problem with. It was just more the setup and the explanation. I just felt very lost story-wise. So
I don't have a problem with it. I like watching movies where sometimes I feel lost for a while. I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, you'd mentioned that in the last episode where the shot things and all that. I'm watching this going, you sure you watched the same movie? Because it was wide to start, and then it got tight when the drama happened.
Weird.
And
I did not see that.
Occasionally it started with a tight shot, but then as soon as that tight shot ended, it popped back out to a wide to establish the scene.
It's so weird because I felt like I was watching like a mishmash collage. Like I was seriously watching it going, why are you making these decisions? Because usually I'm happy to forgive a lot of stuff and just like, maybe it was the editing. Maybe that's what was really bugging me. And maybe that was the eye that I was really looking through. Because like, I mean, I really respect both of your opinions a lot. So that's why I'm so surprised we had such different reactions. But
I like and agree with what Kelly said last week about, I think it was the last episode. I don't remember if it was the last one or the one before it.
Probably every episode I've said something that's really insightful.
Really
I know
genius.
that's not true. But where you mentioned that divisive opinions like that, especially with people that like we are that have studied and worked in film, I think is really cool.
Yeah.
It's that art idea. It's that idea that we could all sit and enjoy The Rock, or not the actor, the movie Rock.
Both, really.
Because it just hits all the right beats and it's a lot of fun and all the characters. And there are going to be people that hate that movie just because of what it is, not because it's an artistic difference.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool. But
yeah.
I'm looking forward to Moon Knight still.
I'm gonna watch Moon Knight. Don't think I won't. I'm super stoked. And if nothing, Oscar Isaac is gonna be fucking fabulous. But yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna be open to it, and I'm gonna be extremely excited to check it out. I'm not gonna have my hopes super high.
Nice.
Well, speaking of Marvel Studios, last couple episodes of WandaVision have been pretty stellar.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you guys kind of warmed up to it a little bit.
I feel like Eric liked it right off the bat.
I kind of did. It had except for, because I don't mind sitcoms. I know you hate them and you're somewhat neutral on them. I don't know. You like some, don't like most.
This is radio, Eric. So when you say you and your.
Yeah, but you answered, so now everybody knows who I was talking about. But I don't. I enjoy a lot of sitcoms. So I thought it was kind of fun, except it does. And it was so obnoxiously well written. It hit the one sitcom thing that I can't stand, which is if somebody just explains something to someone else, the problem solved. But I'm going, well, actually, that's the perfect one to do for this, because that is in every damn sitcom from about 1950 to 2010, maybe, when they started to eliminate laugh tracks and do a little bit more with them. But so yeah, I enjoyed it. And I loved that beat right at the end of the second episode where she said no. Mm-hmm. I thought, it's like, oh, fuck.
Mm-hmm.
But,
I just, I mean, for me, it really kicked in with that. The third episode where we get to see Monica Rambeau and Jimmy Chu or Woo or but from Ant-Man, which I really appreciated. And Kat Dennings shows up from Thor, and I was like, wait, this is starting to feel like it belongs in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
It really kicked into high gear. I mean, I was really enjoying. I really think that Elizabeth Olsen. I really have enjoyed watching her navigate each era's version of sitcom, because I don't feel like she's playing just one character all the way through. I feel like she does update the character slightly to match what's going on. And that was definitely apparent to me when we hit the 80s. I was like, man, this feels right. Every single one of them to me felt very right. But yes, as soon as they hit the third episode and it's like, we've got this combination of worlds and you're starting to see more and more and understand more of what's going on. It's just, it felt like the films. It definitely felt very good.
Well, one thing I think Marvel does damn near better than any other long form film company is set up stuff and not be afraid to set up shit for things 5 years down the road.
Yeah.
And this is a weird, eclectic, strange show that is going to set up so much for the future for the Marvel Universe that I think it's ballsy as hell.
Yeah, because it's a multiverse, right? Like we're starting to look into that potentially.
Yeah, and I think Feig even said this will lead directly into the Doctor Strange movie that's coming out next, which they have hinted is going to be a very horror adjacent superhero film.
Good choice for that.
Yeah, which then reading into that, this makes me feel more and more that this is going to be kind of a House of M situation going on, in that perhaps her neighbor, Agnes, is a little more than she's letting on to be.
Yeah.
Because in the House of M, I know it was Mephisto who kind of got the ball rolling on a completely different universe for her. And I think that, I don't know, I've heard theories that Agnes is Agatha Harkness, which is kind of interesting to me. But she keeps talking about her husband, Ralph. And I'm like, I have a feeling we're going to see Ralph and he's going to be
somebody
Mephisto. Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen.
Interesting.
But most impressive was how they backdoored the X-Men universe into.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
beautiful.
I was just like, what?
That was such a good, solid moment, because I kind of like that version more.
I think
personally.
Everybody does. I mean, he's basically the only good thing of the last couple of X-Men movies.
That was my favorite part for sure. And the only part I really liked when the first film we're in, he showed up. So
that's true.
God, yeah. Oof.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because the one film that I did actually see this week was Avengers Age of Ultron, because I decided to start to deep dive into Wanda World. So I read the first House of M, and
nice.
And I got this Wanda and Vision comic that's a compilation. And it's real bad. It's real bad. It's
Is it the 80s 4-issue miniseries that they did?
I think maybe like the first one
a little weird,
a little newer, and then they go into like the 50s, and like so far Wanda and Vision aren't even together yet. I'm like, what am I reading right now? This is really awful writing, but that's okay. And Age of Ultron, I was like, man, how did they set her up? I want to have like a little bit more of a wraparound now that I know more about this universe than I did before. And it was really useful now that I know kind of where everything goes. sometimes.
Yeah, I notice every time you get to the end of a WandaVision episode, it pops up. Would you like to watch Age of Ultron?
Yeah.
The answer was yes. And maybe I'll watch the others, but I know that, they really kind of minimized her. I felt like they minimized her character a lot up until we got to the last two.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I have a little bit of a divergent here. Gwen from Lovecraft and the Portland Horror Film Festival reached out to me and wanted me to make a mention here on our podcast about the Portland Horror Film Festival. They're launching a waiver program for women during the Women in Horror Month. So female filmmakers are invited to submit for no fee to the Portland Horror Film Festival, which is a top-notch horror film festival. They do.
Absolutely, yeah.
Brian and Gwen do a hell of a job, and they show some real quality stuff. Gwen was saying they're only at about less than 25% submissions are female filmmakers, so she'd love to see it get to at least 40%. And she's working hard to make that happen. So if you want to do that, and I fully encourage you to, because it's well worth showing at. Even I haven't seen an announcement whether they're going full, if they've already decided if they're going to be virtual or if they're going to have a festival this year. So who knows? You might get a festival. If not, you're going to still be in a great festival that's virtual. So you just want to go to portlandhorrorfilmfestival.com and you can find the link to the Women in Horror waiver application on there. And I fully recommend that you do that if you have made a cool horror film.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I have a couple of people that I'm going to ping.
Good.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's very cool. They did their H.P. Lovecraft Film Festival virtually this last year, and it was a smash.
Yeah, it did really well.
Super cool. Okay, guys, I'll just mention one thing. By the time this airs, there will be the final episode of The Stand on release day. And it continues to shit directly in the mouth of anyone who liked the book.
I have not
beautiful.
watched an episode since last we talked about it. I think I only watched the first 3, and I was like, there's so much. And then Harley Quinn came out. Okay, I got to watch this. And now I'm like into the end of season 1 or the last episode of season 1 of Warrior. And I'm going, do I watch Stand? No, screw that. I'm watching this. So
Oh my gosh.
I'm good.
Yeah, no, honestly, like listening to you guys talk about it, I started from being interested to heavily uninterested. So I'm just doing other things with my time.
Well, if you reach way back in time when I got to see that first episode a little early, I was really hopeful. I liked the actors, and I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. So no one can say I did not give this a chance.
Oh, no kidding. And you're right. The actors are good. That first episode seemed like it was going to be pretty fun and interesting, and then it just wasn't.
Oh, God. Very classy, sir.
Should we take a little break?
Yes.
And then we will come back, and we are talking about romantic gestures.
Yeah.
He's here! My mystery date!
Mystery date. Are you ready for your mystery date? Don't be late. It could be great. Open the door for your mystery date.
It's Mystery Date, the thrilling new Milton Bradley game of romance and mystery that's just for you. And you. And you. And you. Mystery Date. Will you be ready for swimming? Or a dance? When you open the door, will your mystery date be a dream? Or a dud?
Oh!
Fun and surprises. That's Mystery Date. Remember, Milton Bradley makes the best games in the world. So, girls,
Open the door for your mystery date.
get Mystery Date.
We are back. Vanessa, this was your subgenre.
Yes, absolutely. So gifts from the heart. So I think I thought that this was going to be easy. And I think I thought I had some really good ideas for what I wanted to do for this because I was like, man, there are so many horror films where like dude bro shows up and he's like, I did this for you, and it's some awful stuff, and like girls like, I didn't want that, and I was like, man, I gotta just figure out what that movie is because I'm sure I've seen like 100 of them. Turns out, no idea which one that would have been because I could not figure it out. So I went with the only option I could remember, which is 1989's Offerings.
Well, hello, Gretchen.
Hello, Mrs. Radley. Can Johnny come out?
We all, believe it or not, have a taste for it.
I heard he killed his mom.
Yeah, and when they found him, he was chewing on what was left of her remains.
And he was actually eating her?
Finger looking good.
Some recent research into serial killers indicates this area of the brain, the limbic system, has suffered damage when they were children. And many unlikely subjects become a threat.
The guy was a little nutty, if you ask me.
You think there's a chance he'll come back here? I really don't know.
Sausage? We didn't order any sausage.
Well, looks like sausage to me.
I think it's real.
This is probably all just one big practical joke.
He's out there then, waiting to kill the rest of the kids.
I'm over at the well site, 423 Archwood Drive. We're going to have to transport a lot of bodies to the morgue.
Somebody let me out! Somebody help me!
I'm not familiar with this, I don't think.
Sounds familiar, but I can't say for sure.
So this guy's it's definitely one of those so bad it's funny for some people movies. It
keeps getting incrementally closer with that.
yeah, one day maybe. I mean, it's like definitely a hidden film, but a lot of people will visit it because it has some good 80s slasher overtones. Rotten Tomatoes, 20% audience, no critic rating.
20%.
It's pretty sweet. No budget info. Writer and director,
Shocker.
Christopher Reynolds. Primarily, this guy's an editor. He's done 5 titles where he's edited, and he's directed 2. His career seems to stop around 1991. He also stars in this film as a character, Dr. Roland. He worked on Poltergeist in 1982 as a production associate.
Wait a second, what?
I know.
Not associate producer or a production assistant. A
production associate.
That sounds like a bullshit credit given to a friend.
He wrote his own bio, like it says on it. So, don't know. And he's also the author of Hollywood Power Stats: The Essential Facts and Figures of the Motion Picture Industry in 1995. So that's him. It's really hard to dig up information on this particular film. It's hidden. It is very hidden. It is starring Richard A. Buswell as John Radley, the guy who goes crazy, if not crazy already. He's been in 8 things, and by far the most credits of anyone in this film, including the voice of the helicopter pilot in Order 86. He was in the short film Halloween Samhain, Confederate States of America. He played a truck driver. He was a rodeo fan, and My Heroes Have Always Been Cowboys. And his biggest role was car driver in Rain Man, uncredited. So there you go.
I'm just going to start throwing a bunch of credits up for me and say uncredited.
Right? I mean, I have one because they didn't credit me for quote unquote insurance purposes, and I worked on it for long and for free, so I put myself on there. But
nice. That works.
Yeah, so there's times where it's justified, but I don't know. Loretta Lee Bowman plays our beautiful blonde chick. Our Jamie Lee Curtis, if you will. She's only been in 2 titles. The second was in 2002 as in something called Guinevere Jones as a character named Brad. I don't know what that means. Have not had a chance. Could not figure out more. Tried. Could not. Elizabeth Green, who plays her best friend, spunky brown-haired and oh so hilarious. This is her only film title. Then we have G. Michael Smith, who plays the sheriff. This is his only film title. And Jerry Brewer, Professor Jim Paxton, who has been in 3 films, including Lethal Justice and Shadowhunter. So the story follows a young mute boy. We start off with this kid clearly in a bad, abusive homestead. His mom is cooking him eggs, and her cigarette ash is dumped lovingly all over them as she scrambles them up for him.
Pepper.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's kind of what the implication is. She sits him down and basically says, I know you're no good. You're evil. I found the dead animal at the bottom of the trash. You didn't think I'd find it there, did ya?
Is this Rob Zombie's Halloween?
I actually haven't seen Rob Zombie's Halloween, so maybe there's some inspiration happening, you know? Yeah, so he killed some kind of turtle, and then she's like, you're going to turn out just like your dad. He did this to me, and she has a giant scar on her neck, and it's like, okay. And then this little neighborhood girl comes over, and she's like, oh, can John go out to play? And the mom's like, no, he doesn't feel good. And the little girl's like, but he's right there. So anyway, this little girl takes this guy out and sit and play checkers and having a good time. And then some cool kids on bikes show up. Watch out. They start making fun of him because he's mute and like basically saying, oh, you don't talk. I heard that your dad is in prison, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, I bet you won't even do the well, whatever that means. So he looks at them fiercely, jumps on a bike, rides over the well. They follow, intrigued. They watch him as he basically, doing the well means getting up on the side of this well and walking around it foot behind foot and not holding on to anything. He does make it around the well just for one of the kids to shout at him at the end, and he falls in.
I thought he's not deaf.
Right.
Okay.
10 years later.
Still in the bottom of this goddamn well.
Now we're with Gretchen. So that's like the sweet little girl, right? Who's playing checkers with this boy. She is blonde, skinny, and I didn't know that Southern Valley girls existed, but my God, they do. And they do in this film. Woof, her accent is fun. She has a hot blonde boyfriend, a spunky best friend, and her parents are taking off for Hawaii for the week. So, of course, she decides to have a small get-together. Meanwhile, in an insane asylum, new nurse takes over, and Mr. John Radley, I think that's his name, unless I've forgotten already. Yes, John Radley. Sorry about the guy. Is instructed on how to take care of him. He's in a coma, kind of. No, he's sort of sedated. It's not clear what's going on. This isn't really even shot in like a mental institute. It's clearly shot in a normal hospital. It's very weird to wrap your head around. But the doctor is extremely rude, and he's like, yeah, this guy's nothing, and puts his gum on him. And he's like, yeah, see, he's not going to react. So he's like, in 15 minutes, give him his meds. Goodbye, takes off. And she's waiting for something. So 15 minutes goes by, and then a few more minutes, and she starts to get the stuff ready. And she's like, all right, gonna go ahead and resedate this guy. Was too late. Waited just a few minutes too long. And after 10 years of being sedated, this man is up and at him. Immediately jabs her with the needle straight in the forehead, sucks out her brain juice, and is off into the wilds. Turns out that apparently in this time when he fell down the well, something happened. I guess he got out somehow and murdered his mother and was put into an insane asylum. So police and a local psychiatrist are on the case.
Hold on. Let's back up a little bit here.
Sure.
They've kept him sedated for 10 years.
Yes.
like almost comatose.
Yes.
They're exercising him regularly somehow through all of this?
I wouldn't say this guy's in shape.
But still, lying in bed for 10 years, it's tough to jump up. Hey, after 10 hours of sleep, I'm like moving pretty slow.
I would say just imagine somebody desperately trying to make Halloween and thinking of Mike Myers, and like imagine if it was a Mike Myers, but like, you know, the spirit, right? So this dude's been laying there, but it doesn't matter. He's almost like pure evil, right?
Okay.
There is no real soul there. So the non-soul can just pilot the body.
I am uncomfortable with how comfortable you are with calling Michael Myers Mike.
I'm so sorry. Thank you for correcting me. I don't want the angry emails.
Just hanging out with Fred, Jason, and Mike.
It's so hard. It's so hard to, because of this. Anyway. There's a lot of good Baby Driver jokes in there. But anyway. So Gretchen has a fun party with her friends. She doesn't see this, but a finger shows up on her doorstep. The dog grabs it and runs off into the yard with it. She doesn't really notice that it's there. In the meantime, one of the guys who's their friend, something real rough happens to him. Let's just say, perhaps a Mr. John finds him in the woodshed, and perhaps he does not survive the encounter. There's also implications that John's now a cannibal. Anyway. So, there's a lot of telling and not seeing in this film. You just have to kind of roll with it. She and her friends order a pizza, and it arrives extremely late. The pizza guy's not there, and it's just laying there on her porch. And she's like, oh, well, whatever. Brings the pizza in and brings it in. They're like, who ordered sausage? I didn't order sausage. Oh, well, dig in. So they're enjoying a nice pizza. Mr. John Radley is going around continuing to kill and get revenge on the people who pushed him and made fun of him with this whole well incident. The sheriff and the psychiatrist are trying to hunt him down. A psychiatrist has a bad run-in with him, perhaps does not make it through the encounter. But we do find out that a bunch of bodies are being stored in the well. And at a certain point, this movie just becomes Halloween. It's just a blonde chick and her best friend in the house. He enters. He is following them around, seems to be almost invincible, breaking through things to get at them, kills the friend. It's just the blonde chick running around. Gretchen's just finds a gun, points it at him, shoots him like 8 times right in the square chest. He's fine. Continues after her. She runs out, finds the sheriff. Sheriff's like, all right, I got it. And she goes, just shoot him. Shoots him like 12 times. Kind of falls over. Yeah. So in his death throes and his final words, we get his motivation for all of this as he whispers, love.
Aww.
First and last thing he ever says. So,
that's
not
really,
for you,
really
boy.
Stupid.
Yeah. So the implication, of course, he was chopping up these people and giving little parts here and there to this girl. This
vile joke potential there.
I know. He could have gone for anyway. This film, the thing that I wrote down, my first impressions were, it's like Invisalign meets Carpenter. It's just beautiful white sparkling teeth on a chick in a film that's trying to be a horror film. It's also the ultimate I'm just a nice guy movie, I think. Because he's really just a nice guy. Why won't she like him? Why is she with this loser blonde guy?
That incel thing going on.
It feels very incel. The good things about this, it actually has a couple of really funny moments. His first kill, for example, when he's in the woodshed with the guy, he puts the guy's head in a vice. And you're like, oh man, this is going to go bad. But he goes and tries to get a chainsaw and he's like, brr, 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 brr. And then he goes to put it down on the guy's neck and it just won't go. And he's like, oh, puts it down, goes over and gets a drill and it's like, puts it down over his forehead, starts to push down, unplugs itself, does not reach. And you're like, all right, this is pretty good. And then he, finds he just vices it. Very watermelon-y.
Gotta do that.
Yeah, and the sheriff in this movie is he's by far the best actor. Like, he's been in nothing else, but he was fun. Like, he was sarcastic. He had a really interesting character. He was, like, giving some kid harassment over, like, having a bunch of porn, and then he was like, yeah, kid, I'm not going to let you get in trouble. Just put it in my trunk. We'll call it even. So there was, like, some really nice...
Bag of weed, too.
Yeah. Whatever else you got. You got some Oreos in there? I'll take them. It was unfortunate, though, because this guy's... while he's a good actor, his body type, which is extremely unfortunate. He was a heavier guy, and the way he moved was extremely awkward. It just, there was no confidence in it. It just looked very weird and bad.
It wasn't like Jason stalking you where you're going, oh crap, this is not good.
Yeah, exactly. That as well. It's good when it goes full Halloween because at least there is something, because this film is extremely boring. But the best thing of all about this film is it fit my requirement. So that was good. The bad
sausage, is that the gift of love?
I mean, the sausage, they never say what it is aside from human. So who knows? It could have been the dog though too, because the dog does go missing. There's a lot of bad. Everyone's bad. Everyone's extraordinarily bad to a point in which you want to hang yourself so much. Besides the sheriff, it's rough. Everyone looks like they're miscast. I mean, it's clearly just some dude's friends. They also try to make her like psychic for a while.
Yeah.
Like they have this half-baked psychic idea where she's like, you know how sometimes like you just get a feeling that like something's gonna happen? I get that sometimes, but it's, like it's like a lot. And then of course, right as he's about to bust in the door, she's like, I just have like a bad feeling. And it's like, oh my God. But it doesn't really, really go anywhere. It's special. It lacks a lot of gore. They kind of show everything off screen, which is really unfortunate because like that was maybe one of the things they could have had going for it. And there's just a lot of stuff that doesn't feel like it fits. There's a super bonkers mortician character who then shows up later as a policeman, and he's like cartoonishly over the top. And like I said, it's just it's a boring ass film. It's just freaking dull. So that's my film.
Fascinating.
I can't believe you wasted this instead of using it for our pizza delivery guy part 2 episode.
It was extreme. Well, I didn't know that there was a potential for that. Because if
always
I did,
a potential for a part 2.
You know what?
Something.
There's no end of amazing pizza moments.
Exactly.
So I know there's a few Nightmare on Elm Street things we can pull out of here if need be, sir.
Wow.
Well, should I go next? Because I think you enjoyed yours a lot.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so, because you didn't like yours, and I liked mine, but it wasn't quite as cool as I thought it was going to be.
We should end on a high note.
So we'll build.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. So mine was 2017's The Bad Batch.
The chaos of this world is vast and unknowable. We'd like to think we can understand it. But we can't. All of us here, we weren't good enough, smart enough, young enough. All the things you've done have put you right here with me. This here is the Bad Batch.
motion for something?
Here's the thing. Being good or bad mostly depends on who you're standing next to.
And this was budgeted at $6 million. Oh, I skipped the Rotten Tomatoes. 47 from the critics and 30 from the audience, which I think is pretty harsh. I think it's better than that.
I think so too. I like this movie.
Cool. Very nice. Well, its box office was $201,000.
Ouch.
And it was released with the idea of it being a summer film.
Oh, no. Oh,
So,
no.
Not a huge one. It's a $6 million budget, but it was still supposed to be the breakout movie for Anna Lily Amarpour, who directed A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night.
Sure.
And episode of Legion, which I didn't realize. And the upcoming remake of Cliffhanger.
No, what?
Yeah.
Whoa. My brain had a big leap there.
Yeah, I knew this.
Yeah, what? Seeing the film she's done, and I think she's a fairly good filmmaker, but
Sure.
Cliffhanger seems like a really strange stretch.
The pacing is extraordinarily different. I mean, I don't know if you can get much different.
But so, she also wrote it and the above films as well, plus a lot of shorts. She did a lot of shorts work. The stars were Suki Waterhouse, who was in Pokemon Detective Pikachu.
Yes.
Assassination Nation, which is a
Oh my God, it's so
damn fun
good.
film. Yes.
It's so good.
And okay, I'm going to see it. Anybody else here? You are a very strong possibility to maybe have seen this.
Who, me?
Not the film version.
He's looking at me. Kelly.
That's
Yeah,
right.
but the listeners don't know that.
It's me.
It's a
Stop trying to
mystery.
take my
We're going to
attention
find
away.
out. Not the movie version, but the original TV show of Absolutely Fabulous.
Yeah, I do know that. Yes. Yeah.
She was in the movie version of it. I'm not sure who she
weird.
played.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a weird one I watched because at Suncoast, somebody returned a set because it was defective. And so while I'm doing paperwork, I watched the whole series.
Ab fab.
It's pretty good.
Yep. It's very silly, but very good.
Co-star is somebody I'm sure you've heard of, Jason Momoa
Yeah.
of Baywatch.
Oh, sure.
I always forget he was Conan the Barbarian in that severely underrated Conan film.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
was he?
Yeah, I like that movie, actually.
Yeah. And he's also Duncan Idaho in the upcoming Dune.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That'll be freaking neat.
Also has a Jada Fink, Keanu Reeves, Jim Carrey, and a whole bunch of those stars. I've seen you in something. So for $6 million budget, I'm like, boy, a lot of people
That's
took
insane.
massive cuts to be in this film.
Wow.
The film starts with in the middle of a desert and Suki's being allowed out of, is it prison? Is it Texas? It's hard to tell. But then as she's walking away, it shows a sign of Texas and you suddenly realize, oh, we're in a Mad Max dystopian future kind of world here. And as she is just wandering the desert alone, she's quickly captured by what I would kind of term road warrior rejects. Because they don't really look as wild and interesting. I mean, it's probably closer to what people would look like as opposed to the road warrior. And they immediately cut off her arm and leg because they're cannibals.
Yeah, that part's severe.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's
Wait, is she alive
rough.
after this?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they keep her alive. It's done to keep her.
She's the protagonist of the film.
Yeah.
How? She's just hopping?
Eric, tell us.
Well, one thing I did notice, they appear to have steroids still available in the future because the cannibal group that capture her are beefy as hell. Momoa is one of the smaller people in this group. He's actually kind of, for him, like he's huge, but he's not cut very much at all in this film. Not that hurts him or anything, bastard. But she escapes from the cannibals and is rescued by somebody else. So several years now, we fast forward to a little, several years later, and she has a prosthetic arm and leg.
Okay.
And I gotta say, sound-wise, the sound of that damn squeaking leg is really annoying. And it's oddly inconsistent too, which I'm happy with, because if it was the whole film through, I would not have watched this movie. And apparently, at least in this film, Momoa is a hell of an artist. And he's just doing these amazing drawings of like his little girl and stuff like that. One of the things I actually really enjoyed in this film, I'm curious what you thought about it because it's fairly eclectic. I really thought the soundtrack was neat.
I think that was probably the thing I didn't much care for.
It had some real weird shit. Like, do you know who Die Antwood is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They're
Chappie.
An open song. They're one of the open songs. One of the first songs in the movie is from them. And apparently the little smile shorts she's wearing in the poster is from their one of their videos.
That's interesting.
But I thought it was interesting. I think it fit the film in a really weird way. This is also a deliberately paced film. And part of the problem that hurts the film just a little bit is a lot of the people seem bored on the film. I mean, it's intentional. This isn't like bad directing. And it's like having bored people on your film that doesn't really go anywhere kind of creates a boring feeling film. It's just like, once they got past that, it got a lot better. But there at the beginning, it's kind of like, And wow, bad accents. Jason and Suki have, he's supposed to be Cuban, as I was reading, and I have no idea where the Cuban was in that accent. It is weird. And Suki is supposed to be Texas. For those that don't know, Texas actually has a fairly light drawl. It's not a real heavy Southern accent. But she was somewhere, she's British, and so she ended up somewhere between Texas and Mississippi.
Oh my gosh.
It was a weird accent and not fun to listen to.
I'm trying to remember. Is there some reason he has to be Cuban?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, they talk about him being from Cuba a little bit, but it didn't seem to matter.
It never makes sense to me when people are like, let's just have you be from a fun place. Like, just let them have whatever accent they've got.
Yes, exactly.
It's so weird.
I actually thought Jim Carrey was one of the most fun parts of this movie, and it's the only film he's ever been in where he says no words. He does not have a single line in the entire film.
Wow.
He's not immediately recognizable, but as soon as you recognize him, you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
I think it was at the end of the movie that I finally realized, is that Jim Carrey?
Yep, I could see that. I knew he was in it from doing the thing, so I was looking for him, and even then it took me like, oh, shit. So he doesn't have a bad accent, so, that's nice. One thing the film does really neat is I like the dystopian world it creates. It's a really familiar. It feels like a dystopian film you've seen before, but also looks completely different at the same time.
Well, dystopian or post-apocalyptic?
Probably post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
But the look is interesting. And they create separate looks, subtle, well, except for Keanu Reeves' character. Areas are separate, but they're similar. So it feels like they're the same world, but they also feel like they're different tribes. So that was fairly well done in that. Keanu Reeves is interesting in this film. He plays a cult leader, basically, is what it amounts to. And he's, I don't know if he didn't have to gain too much to be in this film. I'm pretty sure he probably just enjoyed himself and gained, maybe 10 or 15 pounds. Because he's a little bigger looking in this film, and he's big, total sleaze looking. He just is not a nice looking guy. Which is, it's Keanu Reeves. That's an achievement. Though they do still know how to party in the dystopian or apocalyptic future. They know how to throw a party. Of course, it's Burning Man, basically. And somehow they still have like a copy machine.
Wow.
And electricity and the neon light wristbands and the necklaces that people wear at those things. They have all of those still. So even though it's supposed to have been a very long time that this has been going on, because one of the character things, I forgot what her number is, but it's very high. But the idea they indicate of how tough Momoa's character is, and he's like number 88. And they're like into the thousands or something. So he's been living out there for a very, very long time, surviving for a very long time. Here's another weird moment. I saw this, and then there's also in 30 Coins had a scene like this. Day for night shots are getting a little worse in that you can tell a day for night shot because it's oddly blue. It's a little overly blue. And instead of lighting the people like they normally light them because it creates harsh shadows that are hard to find, they're just flat.
Yeah.
So the people kind of disappear and they become a little harder to see, and they're not as distinctive because, if it's shot at night, they're putting lights on everybody so you can see everybody well because it's dark. But as soon as they put that blue layer over, it's like, we need to do something more here because it's like, what is my eye supposed to be focusing on?
It's really sad because Fury Road has an amazing day for night scene in it, and they were just very careful with what they did. They made their darks, their shadows like black, and then threw that blue, whatever, a filter basically over it. And I think it's just a matter of making sure you don't have like shadows on the ground and stuff like that, and making sure that you're, at nighttime, your night sky is darker than your surroundings.
Yes.
And so if you're shooting, you got to be careful that you're not shooting the sky in a bunch of places.
Yeah. No clouds, hopefully.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the 1 in 30 coins was when the new priest was arriving. I think it was the end of the last episode.
Yeah. I kind of liked it though, because it looked so stylistic. It was like, oh, this looks like it's.
And it's a lot shorter than the one in here, which helped.
Yeah.
Plus, they had a very strong background with the castle or the church behind them, which this is just an open desert. It's like I said here, although I did enjoy the film, you could have lost 20 minutes out of this movie really easily. Like, I didn't really feel it dragging, though, until there's a scene where she gets, I'm pretty sure it's acid, and her and Jason kind of meet up in the desert. I'm like, okay, either have something really weird happen because they're on drugs, or let's move past this scene. But the night thing aside, I was just talking about, the cinematography by Lyle Vincent was really good. It is really well shot. It's really hot feeling like a desert should.
Vanessa told me that she didn't like any of the angles in it.
Oh my God. I'm kind of intrigued by this film. I don't know. The casting sounds very, very cool.
Yeah, it's very watchable, largely because of that. And man, Keanu has the hookup for the place to live. Because everybody's out living in tents and RVs and stuff like that. And he's got this mansion with an indoor pool and all this stuff. But part of the problem is I thought Suki and Jason's on-screen chemistry was a little lacking. There's a couple scenes with Jason and Jim that I thought were far more interesting. The two of them were really neat on screen together. I think that would have been, maybe they should have been the relationship.
That would have been something for sure.
The philosophy that Keanu Reeves puts out there when he's trying to convince Suki to join his harem. Wow, dime store garbage philosophy, man. Like, oh, dude, you put this together from fortune cookies. I don't think it's like the writer was trying to be philosophical. I think she did that on purpose and nailed it, because it's like, God, you sound like all of those stupid cult leaders. The reviews for it were fairly amusing. The one that kind of amused me the most was a guy calling out the film for trying too hard to look cool, but not being cool. I'm like, oh, so now you're cool for pointing this out. Go away, sir. But like I kind of mentioned before, I think the biggest failing of the movie overall, other than some pacing issues, is I just think Jason and Suki didn't have really strong on-screen chemistry, especially since they're both good. The accents didn't help, because the two of them talking to each other in scenes alone, it's like, oh, bad accent. Oh, bad accent. Oh, somebody else say something. There's nobody else here. But the movie's still interesting. It's kind of an art house Mad Max. I wrote this in the soundtrack, with a good soundtrack that some will hate.
Uh-oh.
Wink, wink, nod, nod.
I feel attacked.
I think Suki's casting was a little kind of weird too. It's sort of like, oh shit, what's her name in Mad Max? Fury Road.
Charlize Theron.
Yeah, commands the scene. When she's in charge of being stuff and being a badass, it's completely there. I don't know if it's the directing or the style choice. She felt more like somebody sort of wandering through the world and things happening to her, as opposed to her moving everything forward.
Right.
And as in most of these movies, the little kid is annoying. I don't know why they can't do good little kids in apocalyptic films without them being...
let them talk.
Sort of. She has like one line in the whole movie.
Oh, he's still irritating?
Yes.
Oh, no.
and kind of a strange little ending that's almost sort of sad. Like, weird way to end this film. It's not a spoiler ending, so I'll just toss it out there. The little girl that Jason's been trying to rescue and Suki's been helping her rescue has a rabbit with her. Mm-hmm. And Jason takes the rabbit away, and the next scene is them cooking it over a fire.
Oh, sure.
Like, Jesus, dude.
I felt like I have to think that that's kind of a nod to A Boy and His Dog.
Oh, yeah, I hadn't thought of that. I think you're right. So, it's kind of like after it got to the end, it's like, what is the love gift here? So, I mean, the real one is probably, Suki rescuing Jason's daughter and returning him. But my choice is when Jim Carrey gave Jason a snow globe.
Aww.
Because they were the best couple in the movie.
It's amazing how like on-screen romance chemistry that does not work can really pull you out of a movie.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I really liked Crazy Rich Asians, but like their romance was so bad. I was like, the rest of the film was great, but I was just like, I don't believe for a second you guys are like in love. I think you're like friends, but like, nope, no chem here.
Well, some trivia notes, because I haven't seen that one. So I don't know. Shot in 28 days, which is probably how the budget was able to keep kind of low. The entire film was shot in the exact areas it looks like it was shot. So there's fairly hot as hell shoot in the middle of the desert. Most of the extras were from a place called Slab City, which is a California community that... if you've seen the film Into the Wild, is one of the places that lead character visits. And most of the, as they're called, slabbers, came as they were. No costume needed.
Oh.
So,
sure.
There's a cost-saving device.
You must be here for the movie, huh? The post-apocalyptic movie? What movie?
Huh?
I heard there's free sandwiches. Yeah, just eat over there. In shot with your back turned. Thanks.
And of course, with everything Keanu Reeves works on, there's a story about how he's awesome. So while they were filming the movie, he was played a place, small town called Neyland, California, or excuse me, Brawley, California. And he was frequently spotted from various locations around town, taking pictures with locals and reenacting some of his movie roles with them.
Oh my God. What? That's so good.
The guy's just, nobody gets it better than him, man. Both Jason and Keanu are both of Hawaiian descents. I mean, there's
I
no
didn't realize that for Keanu.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, one of the things that impressed me about the film, and I'd love to see a making of this, is I assumed, as most people did, that Suki's effects were digitally done. They're almost all practical.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I read that before watching the movie. So I'm watching, or in the middle of the movie, and going, okay, maybe this one is digital, but apparently most of it is just the way they shot it. The director loves practical so much that she did everything she could to make sure they didn't have to digitally remove her limb.
Wow.
It's impressive.
That's
I
freaking
thought you were going to
awesome.
tell me that they actually amputated her.
Commit to your craft.
That's right. I like this one review about it from Katie Rife. Its aesthetic is so current that it's oddly ahead of its time and easy to imagine stoners in the year 2035 or whenever TENS nostalgia comes around, admiring the film in between hits on their 3D printed bongs. So like I said, I didn't dislike the film. I thought it was a lot, but there's just several strange decisions that I think would have made it a much better movie.
So I am one of the few people who did not like A Girl Walks Home Alone. I completely hated it. Okay.
Yeah, it was actually fairly lukewarm for me as well. So.
And I liked this one a lot better, but it did suffer from a too long second act where nothing happens.
Yes. Yep. Where Suki and Jason are supposed to be falling in love and all that stuff's happening, they just, they didn't click as well as I think they should have, I think that really hurts that, where it's just like...
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're just kind of stuck in this like world building situation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's also second act is always the longest act, and there's supposed to be this, movement towards a goal, and then the goal falling apart and all that. But if you decide, fuck that, fuck 3-act structure, what you've got then is 40 minutes of nothing happening because it's got a really strong beginning. It's got a fairly decent ending, and it just felt like they were kind of making time before they could get to the third act.
Yeah, I can see that.
But I still enjoyed it.
And I am fascinated to see what Cliffhanger is like.
Oh my God.
I heard her on an interview. They're gender swapping the lead and all of that. So I don't know. It's going to be really difficult because wasn't the villain in that my guy from Raising
Harry
Cain?
and the Hendersons, and
John Lithgow.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to get a better villain than John Lithgow in your movie? It's like if you had actually cast Darth Vader in something and then you were going to remake that movie, and it's like, well, who else is as evil as this person?
Well, and the other thing is, I don't know who you could cast for the unique setup at the beginning of the movie where Stallone, the hero of the 80s and most of the 90s, doesn't save the girl. So you're like, holy shit. I mean, that was such a, oh my God, moment in that film.
Cliffhanger is one of those ones that I think people forget is a good Stallone movie.
Yeah. It's the director did Prisoner and Die Hard 2 and Pirate. I can name a whole bunch of his films, but I can't think of his name.
John Tiernan, right?
No. He's the director I don't like most of the time.
Look, I'm only willing for us to hem and haw about it for 14 more minutes, and then we got to get to my pick.
But it's one of Rennie Harlan. It's one of
right.
It's one of my favorites from him. I think it's one of his best, outside of his first film, probably one of his best films.
All right, are you done?
No, I'll come up with something else. Hey, what do you think of what kind of dog? Dr. Pepper. I like that.
Dr. Pepper. It's pretty good, huh? Refreshing.
I picked for my film Return of the Living Dead 3.
They vowed to stay together forever, that their love would never die. But their pledge remained untested.
Oh, cool. No problem. I'm the boss's son, remember?
Until they went looking for a thrill. And stumbled on the chilling fact.
Let's proceed.
That even the dead can go on living.
They came back to life.
We gotta get out of here. And tonight, fate will put their promises to the test. Now that she's dead, he's frightened to live without her. But bringing her back is terrifying.
Oh, God, Kurt, that was incredible. Let's do it again.
Contain it, damn it! Seal it off now!
Is that what I'm gonna become?
These poor dead bastards crave brains. She did do something bad.
I feel so hungry.
I'll never find you down here.
What have you done?
If she attacks him, he becomes like her.
I just get a little confused sometimes.
Love never dies.
Nice.
From 1993, it had a budget of $2 million, a box office of $54,000.
That sounds about right.
Whoa. I haven't seen either of any of them, but
well,
I knew
I'll get into this because I am not a fan of Return of the Living Dead 2.
Okay.
It gets very silly and it's almost slapsticky.
Okay.
And so I just assumed that, okay, it went off the rails with 2. That's it. Because there are like 5 of them, which is weird because the first one is kind of a sequel to a different film.
Yeah.
So Rotten Tomatoes, the critics have this at 58%, barely rotten, and the audience has it at 40%. Very rotten.
Ah.
Directed by Brian Usna, who directed Society, Bride of Reanimator, The Dentist, Faust, and a bunch of other really shitty movies. Written by John Penny, who has written a ton of shitty movies, including Legend of the Mummy, Amphibious Creature of the Deep, and Hellgate.
Ooh.
Okay.
It stars J. Trevor Edmond, who was in Pumpkinhead 2, Lord of Illusions, and Meatballs 4.
There was a
Well, I
fourth
like Lord of
meatball.
It stars Melinda Clarke, who was in Spawn, Gotham, and The Vampire Diaries. And it stars Kent McCord, who was a 70s TV staple from Dragnet, Adam 12, Sequest 2032, but will always be, to me, Captain Troy on the abysmally awful Galactica 1980.
Ah, okay.
This guy, I mean, is just a movie star. You look at him and you're like, there was nothing else he could do probably in life but be a movie star. He's just got a great chin, and he's really fun. The movie starts out and we are introduced to Kurt and Julie, who are very young lovers. And the gift from the heart is right there. But the twist of this movie is there's 3 gifts from the heart.
Ooh.
He has stolen his father's security key, or a security key card, for his girlfriend. And she wanted this so that they could explore the military base that his dad has been working at. And it's given to her as a gift, and it's set up almost like a picnic that they're going to go do. But you can tell she's kind of I wouldn't say she's as far as an activist, but she's very concerned about what kind of experiments they must be doing at this military base. So they sneak in. They climb up into the rafters of this area, and they see that Kurt's dad is overseeing an experiment with a deceased body. It's in a room with a couple of guys who are dressed in hazmat suits, and it's all strapped down, and it's a very Night of the Living Dead corpse, the sunken eyes and all that stuff. So the corpse is exposed to this experimental gas, which reanimates it into a zombie, and it's like, rah, 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 rah. But they've got it all strapped down, so it can't really do anything. And they're both like, oh my God, that thing was clearly dead and now it's alive. And they do something like where they drop something, and a guard who's walking by hears them, and they have to scramble and sneak out really quick. So they miss the part where the zombie actually bites somebody and the place goes crazy into lockdown, and they kill everybody in the room because of this.
Oh, wow.
Oh, including the dad?
No, not including the dad. He's not in the room. He's overseeing it from a different area. And it's really great because there's like 3 people in the room there with Captain Troy. And one of them is this very striking looking brunette woman that I was like, wow, who is this beauty? She looks very familiar. And I finally put it together when I was doing the research. She played... I believe her name was Ursula in Superman 2. There was Zod.
Oh,
there was.
She was the other one in the mirror.
She was the
woman in the mirror.
the Kryptonian evil woman. So, due to the experiment going awry, Kurt's dad is removed from the project and reassigned to Oklahoma City.
Oh
no!
Home of the Sonics.
Oh, it hurts.
When he informs Kurt that they will be moving, something they have clearly done multiple times, Kurt refuses. He's madly in love with Julie, and damn it, he's tired of having to start school over and all this stuff. And they take off on his motorcycle, and his dad's yelling at them and everything. And they're like, "We're doing it. We're taking off together. We're running away. We're Romeo and Juliet." While they're speeding down the road, she's, wrapped behind him, and she playfully grabs his crotch, which is probably the thing you shouldn't be doing on a motorcycle at about 50 miles an hour. And he loses control of the motorcycle, and she is thrown from the bike smack into a telephone pole.
Oh.
Where she is killed. Very hereditary.
Yeah.
Except it doesn't tear her head off or anything.
Decapitation.
So. But Kurt who still has his father's key card and has seen a corpse being revived,
Oh no!
Sneaks his dead girlfriend back into the place.
Oh no!
And he puts the hazmat suit on and gets her set up and shoots the gas all over her, and she pops to life. And she pops to life in a different way, in that she's not the brain ravenous thing at first. She's just like, oh my God, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, it's okay, everything's fine, but we got to get out of here now. And of course, as they get out, they accidentally trip over something or whatever, but they release an actual zombie, and as they're running away, they have started the zombie apocalypse.
I'm assuming she is the poster.
She is
lady.
the poster, yeah. So he's driving her away and everything. She's like, I'm starving. I'm so hungry. We all know what this is going to be. But so he takes her to a store, and there's kind of this kind of a Return of the Living Dead type gang. It's so interesting what people in Hollywood think, punks are.
Yes.
So this very improbable group of people hanging out together are harassing the store owner, and they start harassing Julie and all that. And they shoot the store owner, and she ends up biting one of them as they're escaping. And she realizes, oh my God, that was delicious. So they're like, oh, we got to get the store owner to the hospital. So they throw him in a van. They're taking off and everything. And, well, she can't help herself because she's bleeding all over the place. And she's like, oh, my God, this is what I needed, especially brains.
Oh, no.
So meanwhile, the gang member that she bought, he's like freaking out now because he can feel a change coming and everything. And so they've decided they've got to go and find whoever these kids were that pulled this shit. So now they've got the military after them because Kurt's dad has seen on the screen that his son had rejuvenated his girlfriend this way. And this gang of ridiculous gang members all hanging out together. Let me just tell you guys something. If you've never actually been to Los Angeles and you haven't seen a gang, birds of a feather flock together. So you're not going to generally see a multiracial gang going on, especially with a woman in it as well, who's got her hair all teased up and, likes to stab and do this kind of stuff. So I think that's kind of fun and funny, but it's not very realistic. And really, if that's the worst you can find in a Return of the Living Dead movie as far as continuity goes, then it's probably fine.
That's true.
Kurt and Julie, they decide they're going to hide out in the sewers, and the gang tracks them down there. But meanwhile, Julie has discovered that extreme pain seems to temporarily make the cravings go away.
Fun.
So she starts mutilating her flesh with various items of junk found around the sewers until her face, her body, everything is adorned with various spikes, nails, and shards of glass. And that's the image that you see on the cover. So then the gang breaks in. They're attacking her. Now there's zombies also attacking there because the gang is all turned into zombies. The military is there now. They've tracked them down too. And they show up for this, I guess it'd be climactic. It's not very climactic, but it's supposed to be. It's the military versus zombies. And what happens, instead of blowing everybody away, the military grabs all the zombies. They capture them. When they're captured, Kurt realizes that, because he's talking to his dad, that these are going to be used as weapons now, and that Julie is going to be used as weapons. So he sneaks back into the base after all of this stuff.
I mean, he knows it so well by now.
Right. And he frees the zombies, which start killing the soldiers. In the commotion, the base is caught on fire, and Kurt is bitten.
Oh, snap.
And she's feeling horrible about this. Oh no, you're going to be like me and all this stuff. And he brings her to this big huge furnace at the center of the base, and she's kind of out of it. And when she asks where they are, he says, "We're right where we belong." Aww. And they kiss one last time before being consumed by the flames. It's all terribly romantic.
Oh, jeez.
I'd forgotten the ending for that. I remember that now, yeah.
So the original romantic gesture is the card, which is given like an actual gift.
Yeah.
But the next less romantic gesture, I suppose, would be giving her life.
Sure.
And then the third semi-romantic gesture is giving her death once again, and giving his own life so that they can die in each other's arms.
They were Romeo and Juliet.
I gotta say, this movie is not as good as Return of the Living Dead. 100 times better than Return of the Living Dead 2, and I thought it was actually really touching in a few places. Yeah. The acting was pretty strong. The zombies looked pretty good. And I wish I'd been told about this movie years ago. Unfortunately, I was left to just assume that all of these movies are shit. And then I went and looked at the reviews for the movies after this. They didn't follow this storyline at all. This one is the last of the ones that kind of follows the Return of the Living Dead storyline. Return of the Living Dead 2 has direct references to Return of the Living Dead. And then this one is clearly a follow-up to those movies. But I think after this, they go completely off the rail. A little bit of trivia. The film was originally slated for a wider theatrical release, but after Warlock, the Armageddon, underperformed, I suppose is a nice way to say it. Trimark decided to pull back promotion on the film and released it regionally in very, very limited release. That's why it got the 54,000.
Weird.
Brian Usna was disappointed with the lack of screen time for his previous female monster in Bride of Reanimator and wanted Julie to have a far bigger presence. And she does kind of at the end look like the Bride of Reanimator. So it's clearly, it was like, hey, I have a thing.
Yeah, he does. He's a weird dude.
I like this. Makeup artist Tom Rainone claims Clarence Epperson, the first animated cadaver in the film, was a homeless vagrant who demanded more money and limousine escorts to the set as the shoot got closer. Brian Usna claims that the production company put Clarence up in a motel in Valencia, California while shooting for fear that if they let him remain homeless for that time, they may not be able to find him easily for shooting if they needed him for reshoots.
Very good.
Nice.
Very good.
Yeah, Usna's a weird director. I went through some weird period somehow, not intentionally, but purely by accident, seeing like Bride, Society, Return to the Dead, and one or two others, Spawn and Faust. Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm like, he's a weird man. I think that's probably his more straightforward film.
Yeah, I mean it's very much straightforward. It's not as good as say Society, which is a legitimately good movie with a neat message and all of that. This one is it's popcorn, It's a fun little zombie romp. He actually wanted to do the sequel to this film and have the zombies that were let loose now running all over Los Angeles, and I'm guessing
should have done that.
Well, I'm guessing they didn't have the budget for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my movie.
Wow.
Nice.
Sounds pretty good, actually. I mean, I've only heard that they're crappy, so I've just avoided all those films as well.
The first one, and Kelly knows how true this is when he talked about how much he's okay with it. The first one, I think the first one's great. The first one's really good. Steve Holitz, it's his one of his favorite movies, and a lot of people really love it. But it's a sharp drop off to the second one.
Yeah. And I don't dislike it as much as I just don't love it as much as every horror fan seems to.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, every year you've probably seen them on your Facebook where that warehouse shows up on
July
this date.
4th.
Yeah. And that warehouse at the beginning of Return of the Living Dead. So that's why gives you an indication how popular it is.
Yeah, no, I knew it was super popular and people talk about it all the time. And it's been on my maybe I'll get around to watching it this Halloween, this October. And it just hasn't quite made it up, but maybe now.
Yeah, watch 1 and 3.
Yeah, I'll watch 1 and 3. I probably won't watch 2.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, at least you had a good pick. I think we can finally say that you did win. the film of the week.
I think that we can finally agree that I did win, but I say I won every week.
Yeah,
potato, sir. Potato, patata.
Well, that means that it is my pick for the next subgenre.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is.
And I'm really digging this whole February vibe we've got going on.
Yeah.
So I've got, for my pick coming up, Unrequited Love.
Ooh, romance is not in the air.
Love ain't in the air.
Definitely not, no.
Every time I look around. So, okay, as usual, many, many thanks to everybody who's liking, sharing the posts. Like I said, I'm off of Facebook, so I'm not seeing any of that stuff except for in our ratings, which are skyrocketing.
I should have screenshot and remind you. I'll send you. You got some nice comments on your story.
Oh,
on our Facebook page.
And for those of you who were connected to me on Facebook, I still have my messenger on, so I still get messages from Ron and stuff like that. So, as usual, we love it. We love you guys, and can't thank you enough for hanging out with us for another hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So that's your homework for next week, Unrequited Love, and we will see you then.
Yep.
Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Margaret. Our theme music is Strange Eons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Eons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts are found.